For a time, I worked as a law professor in Missouri, and my job naturally afforded me ample opportunity for conversation with students. They came to see me about papers and exams and difficult-to-understand law cases and all manner of other things that students want or need, and sometimes, more often than you might expect, they would tell me about what was going on in their lives. Those were interesting conversations. I was barely over 30 years old at the time and can't say I was in much of a position to offer sage life counsel, but I did soon enough begin to notice a pattern. Many of the young men who came to see me were struggling, and in ways they found hard exactly to define. Some lacked confidence, some lacked direction, others could not seem to get motivated. They were afraid to fail, to venture out and take a risk, but felt at the same time dissatisfied with their lives as they knew them. One after another said in one way or another, "I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with my life." And yet, they felt they were failing at whatever that was. I think of one law student in particular. I'll call him John. He was a computer scientist by training, a bright and talented young man, sociable, witty, a person of faith, by all appearances well-positioned to succeed in life. But he seemed unable to take the next step out into life itself, to leave behind his family and school and actually live as an independent adult, as a grown man. The prospect paralyzed him, and that very paralysis produced a profound sense of shame. He was failing as a man before he had even begun. What should I do with my life? He wondered. What if I fail at it? And then, why can't I get myself together? Sadly, John tried to commit suicide twice in the years I knew him. His case may be extreme, but the general pattern is by no means atypical. The numbers tell the tale, on one measure after another. More and more young men are living at home with their parents, apparently incapable of coping with life on their own. One recent survey found that among 20-something young men considered lower-skilled workers, more than 50% are still living with parents or close relatives. That figure includes young men who have a job. For those who don't, fully 70% are living at home. As for jobs, fewer and fewer young men have them. In 2015, nearly a quarter of men between the ages of 21 and 30, historically a cohort strongly attached to work in the labor force, had no work to speak of. These men had not engaged in labor during the previous 12 months, at all. Meanwhile, those who are working are earning comparatively less than their fathers did at the same age. In 1970, 95% of 30-year-old men earned more than their fathers had. By 2014, only 44% of 30-year-olds could say the same. Those are two measures of male malaise, living habits, and work. Here's a third. Increasing numbers of boys and younger men are underperforming at school, if not opting out of education altogether. Boys earn the overwhelming number of D's and F's handed out in primary and secondary school in America, 70% worth. By 8th grade, a bare 20% of boys are proficient in writing in this country. By the same age, merely 24% can earn proficient scores on reading exams. Meanwhile, boys compose 2/3 of the students in remedial education programs, not, researchers point out, because their average intelligence is lower, but because they aren't trying. Not trying is becoming a theme for young men when it comes to education. More of them are choosing to drop out of college or forego it entirely. Men now account for only 40% of college students in America, well below historical averages and well beneath their proportion of the college-age population. Between the 2015 and 2020 academic years, college enrollment in the United States fell off by 1.5 million students, with men constituting 71% of that drop. There are plenty of qualified male candidates for college, admissions officers say. They just aren't applying. What are these young men doing with their time? Screens, leisure, porn. By far the biggest difference between the daily schedules of men not in the labor force and those who are is the time spent in what researchers label socializing, relaxing, and leisure. Sitting around, in other words. On average, men not working spend almost 8 hours a day on leisure, nearly twice the time as men who have a job. And leisure does not mean visiting museums or listening to books on tape. The vast majority of men's leisure time is screen time.